thank you guys for joining me tonight, and thank you for having patience and understanding. Mostly, I really appreciate that so much. All of the fancy bells and whistles won't be here tonight, and that's okay, because the meat and the content and the heart of what we need to share is still here. So that's what's most important. So tonight is September 21st, 2022. My name is Laura Thorson. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm a firearms instructor in Southwest Montana for Defenders USA. And if you want to learn more about me, go to the Defenders Facebook group, Defenders Live with Laura Thorson Facebook group. It's a group that I created for all of us Defenders Live people so we could stay in contact with each other. And every week I work really hard to take the lessons, the smaller little snippets and lessons of the live streams, and I put little clips up on that Defenders Live Facebook group page. And that way, if you don't have time to sit down and watch the whole hour live, you can still get some of those lessons throughout the week. So that's what I created that group for. Also, I try to share things with you that I think will be helpful in your everyday life. So go ahead and make sure to join that Defenders Live with Laura Thorson Facebook group. If you want to learn more about me and my credentials, you can also go to the Defenders USA website, which is defenders-usa.com, and go to the About page. I also have on the call tonight Adam Winch, who's the founder and lead instructor for Defenders USA. And he might be chiming in here from time to time. I have allowed him to do that. I've given him that permission. We love to have Adam on, especially with the topic that we have tonight. He's got a lot of insight into that particular topic. And so you may hear from him from time to time. Okay, so before we get started, like we always do, I'd like to hear in the comments, shout out where you're from. I want to know where I can see your faces again on Zoom. So I want to know where all of your beautiful faces are from, and shout those out in the comments as we go along here. And also, guys, the comments are a really, really important part of the live stream. That's how I can hear directly from you in real time. I won't be able to highlight the comments like I did last year or last week in last week's live, but that's okay. I'll still be able to see them. And if you have any questions that you want to ask our special guests along the way, please feel free to put those in the chat. Okay, so before I introduce my special guest, I had a quick video that I wanted to share with you, but since the audio is not working correctly on the video portion of it, we're going to have to wait till next week to see that really cool promo video for Haven Defense Company. But I do want to go ahead and shout out and thank Brent Hickman and his family for being supporters of Defenders Live. And he's offering 10% off any holster. If you go to his website, havendefenseco.com, you can get 10% off any holster with the promo code Defenders. So thank you, Brent, and your family for being a supporter of Defenders Live. It's so appreciated. So make sure you support Brent in his endeavors as well. And you'll get to see that promo video next week on the live if I can get the internet company to give me enough internet to make that work. Nothing like flying by the seat of your pants, guys. Sometimes you got to do that. All right. So Haven Defense Company, got a shout out to them. So I want to move on to my very special guest. So in the intro that you were supposed to see, there was a promo clip of why we're here, why Defenders Live exists. And that is to help grow people as defenders. And in my opinion, part of growing people as a defender, we talk a lot about personal growth, but I think another really important aspect of that is being very well informed. You know, being a well-informed citizen, being a well-informed defender in any way that you can. And we have a special guest tonight, Juan Rivas, and he's had a firsthand life-changing survival story that he's going to share with us tonight. And I think it will not only help us better understand the physical, emotional, and financial aftermath of being involved in a violent encounter, but I think it might possibly help prevent you from having to go through something like what he went through, hopefully. So that's why we brought him on tonight, and we're really, really honored to have him on to share his story. And I know, Adam, you had something you wanted to say about Juan as well.
Yes. So just such an honor for us to be able to bring Juan to you guys. Juan has become somebody I consider a brother and a personal friend. He's actually my wife and I's, the hot Melissa's real estate agent. And he helped us get into our home. In fact, without him, we would not have been able to get to the home we got recently when we moved to the Phoenix area. And then he recently attended a handgun course, and I found out that not only is he a really, really good real estate agent, he's actually a ninja with a gun. He's pretty good with a gun. So a lot of fun there. So I'm really looking forward to you guys hearing the story. I think it's so critical and so important for us, for maybe the survival of being a victim, for us to hear the story and then how it can be of a benefit to you. On a further note, since Laura is not going to be able to give some of her tidbits tonight, I'm going to give Laura's tidbits, but it's going to come from Adam. I've been driving for about 2,000 miles now, going from Arizona to Colorado, where I did a bunch of training there, teaching people for a bunch of days with Dave Heidi, one of our instructors. And then I'm now at the Active Self-Protection conference in Kansas. That's going to be starting here tomorrow. In that process of driving, I saw two very, very bad accidents, one of which was absolutely a fatal accident. And it was very clear that people had not survived. And then I saw another one not terribly far, several hundred miles from where I'm at now, where it was very unlikely that somebody could have survived that. Here's Laura's tidbit for you. Hug your family, pull them in close, love them. Say all you need to say to them, to steal a phrase from John Correa, right? Be sure you're right before your God. And then make sure that those that you know that you love, they know you love them, and that they're able also to constantly be able to express their love to you in case that day comes when maybe you're not here or suddenly somebody else is not. So say your love, let your people know, and constantly let them know. As I watch lives probably be spilled on the streets here, it comes quickly for us all, as you're going to hear with Juan's story. And it's important our families know we love them.
Thank you, Adam. All right, I'm going to bring Juan in. I'm going to ask you to unmute Juan and see if I can get us both on here. Can you guys all see both of us on the screen at the same time? I hope. Okay, great. Okay. Wonderful. So welcome, Juan. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And thank you for your patience with all the technology issues. We're working really hard to try to get all of that figured out, but that is the least of our worries tonight. We want to focus on you and your story. So if you could, you had an incident happen 12 years ago that really, I would say, changed the trajectory of your life. Could you give us, set the stage and give us some background information to that story?
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me, and yeah, you're working through the technical difficulties really well. So actually the story is going to go very well with what Adam said. And the background of the story, which is important for everybody to understand, is that I was a good boy, right? I wasn't doing anything bad. And that's the first thing that is going to come to mind to some people. I was going to Christian University. I was about 2 weeks from graduation, and I was working at a credit union as a financial consultant. It was 1 month before our anniversary with my wife, our first anniversary. And so no enemies, nothing that I could think of that was bad, right? That was considered bad, or bad friends or enemies or things like that. And so that is the background of the story.
Okay. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's a good way to set the stage. Yeah. So then you were getting ready to graduate, and you were at home, right? Or tell me what led up to that night or that day that incident happened.
Okay. So since it was close to our first anniversary, we got an early present from my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. We wanted a security door for our house, but not for security, but because we had 2 dogs at the time, and we wanted to have the wood door open, but for them not to run out to the street. So we had that gift given to us on a Saturday. And throughout the day, we actually installed it with my father-in-law. And that was basically the day. We it was all working on the security door, installing it. And then at night when they left, I was doing homework. Again, good boy, right? And that's when it happened. Do you want
Okay.
me to continue with the story right there?
Well, no,
because
I'm
can go on it.
I'm getting some feedback that says that your audio maybe isn't quite as good as it could be. So it's a little choppy. So do you have any other devices turned on, Juan, or is it just that for
No,
your audio?
it's just this. Maybe
Okay.
if I hold it closer.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it, yeah, they say they can hear you better that way. I don't know if you, I doubt
Okay.
you want to hold it like that the whole time though.
I can, it's no problem. It might have been that it was too long.
So the thing about this, what, when I had heard this, I didn't understand what a security door was. So for anyone out there that maybe has that same question, the security door is actually a screen door that has like metal, like bars or fancy little decorative things on it, but it's a way that nothing can go through the screen door, but the air can, right? That was the point of the door.
Correct. Yeah, so it's not just a screen, it does have some bars in it.
Yeah.
That's why it's a security, right? So it's harder to knock it. You can't kick it down or things like that.
Yeah, and you had installed it that day that this incident happened, or the day before?
The day off.
The day of.
Yeah.
The day of. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So what happened then? You were studying, and then what happened?
Okay, so here goes the story. So they left doing homework, and about 10:20, 10:30 at night on that Saturday, somebody rang the doorbell. So I got up to go and see who it was. And the first thing I remember is that one of the dogs was pretty big. It was 100-pound Rhodesian Ridgeback, super nice dog, loved him. His name was Sergeant Andrew, and was barking really crazy, pushing me out of the way. And I tried to see through the peephole, but because of that new security door, I couldn't see who it was. I didn't see anything. So I said, "Who is it?" And they said, "Oh, my mom." I thought somebody needed help. That's exactly what I thought. And so, fighting with my dog, I held him with my right hand, and I opened the wood door. And as soon as I opened the wood door, pow pow, they shot me twice. And so as soon as it happened, I really thought that something had blown up in my face. I didn't know that it was a shot. Mm-hmm. But as I turned, I noticed that blood was coming out of my shoulder area, the brachial plexus area, so you can see it's right here. And blood was coming really badly out of it. And so I noticed that it had been a shot. Well, 2 shots.
So you were hit twice.
I was hit twice.
In a matter of seconds.
Yeah, it was pow.
And there was you had no forethought to like not open the door. You just didn't occur to you. Yeah.
I had not thought about security or safety or tactical mind or anything like that. I seriously thought somebody needed help. And so I opened the door. I still knew that other door was there, but I wanted to see who was at the door.
Right. Right. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing. I mean, it wasn't your case in that particular moment, but how many of us would do that? Right. How many of us, it doesn't really occur to us not to open the door if somebody's knocking or ringing the doorbell. And if they're not screaming or yelling or something, their tone of voice wasn't crazy or anything, was it, Juan?
No. Again, all I remember was, "Oh, my mom."
And you couldn't see through that door, that wood door. You had to open the wood door in order then to see the person, right?
Correct. Yeah, there was no way for me to see.
Right.
There was, by the side of the door, some window thing, but it was really thick and you couldn't see through it. It was one of those windows that are this thick. So. And
it happened so fast that you were not able to get a positive ID on the person, I'm sure. I mean, it was just an ambush.
Yeah, exactly. I never saw if he was short, tall, anything. The only thing that I remember seeing as soon as I opened was the flash from the gun.
And so then what happened?
So I noticed that the blood was coming and flowing, and I turned around and my wife was on the second floor just looking from above. She wanted to see who it was. And so I told her, hey, call 911, I got shot. Obviously, I was screaming. And she had thought in the beginning that I was joking, but then she realized pretty soon, it was a matter of seconds, and she realized that it was real, and she started to look for the phone. I took a couple steps, and out of all my story, out of anything that you guys can hear today, or you can hear right now, is the next 2 seconds are the most important ones. Because as I was walking and feeling the blood, I remember, forgive me if it's too gross, but I remember the feeling of the warmth in my hands because of all the blood. And as I was thinking, I looked up and I remember saying these words, okay, Jesus, this is it. I'm coming to see you. But if you can leave me with Julie a little longer, that would be awesome. And Julie is my wife. And so why do I say that those 2 seconds are the most important ones? It's because I was ready. I knew and I know now exactly where I'm going when I die. I have no doubt, it is 100% sure in my head and in my heart that when I die, Jesus is the one that I'm gonna see. And again, if you guys don't remember anything about this this live stream today, is that question: are you guys, or whoever is looking at this, are you sure of what's happening after you die? If you're not, there's plenty of people that can talk to you, but I'm available anytime to talk about those things. And this is not to make it all about religion or theology or things like that, but those are the most important seconds of the whole story. The assurance of where I'm going. So I said, okay, I prayed. I took a couple more steps. I sat down in the stairs, and my wife finally was able to find the phone. She called 911, came and put pressure. That was one of the things that saved me that night.
You were losing a lot of blood, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much blood that not only the carpet had to be changed in the stairs, but the wood had to be all changed because so much blood dripped, and the concrete on there had to get a treatment to clean all that blood. By the time everything was said and done, after days in the hospital and everything, they had to put 13 pints of blood in me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you stayed awake through this.
Yeah. So as I was sitting in the stairs, I passed out for about 10 seconds. I leaned back and I passed out, and then came back, and I remember everything until the moment I got to the hospital. But so I'm waiting there. We're waiting there. My wife is putting pressure and talking to the cops or 911. And then the first officer arrived there maybe within 3 minutes, and he didn't really know what to do. He looked at it, at everything, and he was pretty shaken up, and he didn't know what to do. So he didn't put pressure or anything. He just, no, there's nothing I can do, and let's just wait for the paramedics. When they got there, I don't really remember exactly how many minutes for them to get there, but they were also, okay, this is super bad. And they started taping me, and they put tape from here to the other side, and from the one that is in the chest, or the bottom chest, that one, again, tape and tape and tape. And then they transported me from, so I used to live then in the far west side of Phoenix, and they had to take me to downtown to the hospital over there because that's the only one that is a trauma one center, or it
Mhm.
was at that time. And so that took more than 30 minutes driving. I remember everything and how much I was telling them, why is it taking so long? This is I was just
Yeah.
screaming. And they just told me, no, you have to just wait. And they couldn't give me any pain medication. So I remember so much that I got to the hospital, and I remember the doctor asking me a couple of questions. You know, they're already cutting everything, and a couple of medical questions. And I said, Doc, I can't take it anymore. Please give me something. And he gave me some medication and put me out. I was between coma and sleeping and put out about 11 days out,
Wow.
and then about 4 or 5 more days in the hospital for a total of 15 or 16 days.
And how many surgeries did you have to have?
I honestly can't tell you how many.
Yeah.
So the gory part of everything, and for gun people, that's interesting, right? So the thing is that I was shot with a 45, and I was able to be awake. I could have fought after that happened, even though it happened where it happened. But the one, so there's one up here. You have some pictures. I don't know if you're gonna
Yeah,
show them
maybe
or
I can
not.
share that screen here. Hold on a second if I can find it.
And if somebody is,
Yeah, there's one slightly queasy photo on here, but they're not that bad.
okay.
So here's one of,
Yeah, that one is my back, obviously, and that's the shot that was, okay, that one is better. So that's my back, and there's one, you can see 2 holes, and that
Yeah.
big cut is they had to cut there to repair part of the lung. You can
because
see the exit.
yeah, what parts of your body did they have to repair?
Okay, so this one shows my shoulder one, and that one, the actual shot is about in the middle of that cut. They had to cut that to repair, but basically everything it hit the brachial plexus area. So my left arm immediately went dead. The nerves got severed. The artery got severed too, and that's why blood was spurting. It fractured the scapula and it came out. The one on that picture you can see in the bottom, well, that's my belly, because they had to open up the whole thing from the bottom to top and open up and repair the one that was under.
Yeah, so trying to find the lower shot here. Is that the one you're talking about down here?
Yes, but that's the back. So if you go back, no, next one. Okay, so if you see right near to the bottom, there's one circle right there. That one is the shot that was in the bottom, and that one hit the ribs, the lung, the diaphragm. It exploded the stomach and fractured a vertebra, and it came out. And so that's why I have so many scars, because they had to do so much repairing. And some of those in my left side, so right here,
yeah,
area, a lot of drainage tubes.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot.
So Laura, if I can jump in.
Yeah, please do.
One, with the holes on your back, is that the entry or is that the exit? Where did the rounds go in at?
That is the exit. So he shot me through. If you see, I don't know if you have that picture, but of the door.
Yeah, let's see if I can get that. Yeah.
Because it will explain something again for people that are around guns.
Yeah, let me find the door here. This one?
The next one. Or that one. So that is the security door. And you see how close those are, right?
Yeah.
Those are no more apart than 4 inches, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. And because I was holding the dog with my right hand and I was leaning like this. I was leaning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So because of that, one came here and the other one right here.
Yeah.
The shot, even in that little distance, it spreads so much from here to here, but the door, you can see, I mean, it's just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're rushed to the hospital. You're in and out of a coma for 11 days. You undergo multiple surgeries. They had to rebuild an artery or something in you?
Yes. Yeah. So as soon as I got to the hospital, or not as soon, but well, let me just say a couple things. Not only did I have that moment with praying to Jesus, but the miracles that happened that night are just so uncountable. It would take more than 1 hour here.
Yeah.
But one of the things was that I was losing so much blood, and it was a very, very bad cut of the artery in that area. But fortunately, a doctor that was just leaving, they were able to call her back, and she was able to come back in, and she took a piece of vein from my groin and plugged it in up here, just
Wow.
like a pipe. So a piece of my vein from my groin is replacing a piece of my artery in this area. That actually helped my arm to regain some blood flow, because at one point they did ask my wife if it was okay for them to amputate my arm. She obviously said, yes, whatever you need to do, but they didn't have to because of that surgery.
And so then after all of this, tell me about the recovery process, because that was extensive and years and years of recovery to try to get past this.
Yes, definitely it was a big recovery. I don't know exactly the amount of years. It was between 5 and 6 years when I actually went back to work. But part of the process and part of the learning of being ready for a situation like this, right? Because in reality, well, everybody here is put because of a reason for defenders, right? And to become a better defender.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that some people might not get to win the fight, or you might win the fight, but still get shot, or you might not even have time to even fight. You just lose by default.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened to me, right? I didn't have time to fight, but being prepared for everything mentally, I was not prepared. I was not prepared at all for anything that happened. But the recovery process is also a big lesson out of all this. I left the hospital, and one of the first things was I was able to walk in my graduation. Even though I was in a wheelchair and everything, I told them, no, I'm gonna walk. It was hard to walk because of all my stomach and everything was in bad thing. But from that moment, I kind of said to myself, okay, you need to get going, right? But that was just like 2 days after I left the hospital. It was pretty bad. I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to recover. And I left the hospital weighing 185 pounds. Within 2 years, I was at my heaviest 318.
Wow.
Because of medications, because of not being able to move that much, too many things. But that started a process of struggle, right? Of having to keep going, moving forward, even though that thing had happened to me. So not only did I gain weight, but the bigger problem was the pain. I still have pain in my hand every day. Now I don't even think about it. It's much lower than it was before. But The first 5 years, I was under heavy pain medication. I was going crazy with pain. Every day, having pain sucks. And the thing with pain, especially the pain that doesn't go away, is that there's no relief. So you're always with, it might be just a little thing like this, but if you do it 100 times and 1,000 times, it gets pretty bad. And it can mess with your head a lot. Again, I wasn't prepared for this, but I did have a good support system from my wife, from my parents, from my church, from so many people that actually helped me through it, right? Because I would not have been able to do it had they not been there. I'm not too fond of psychologists. I did go to a psychologist, because I needed help, right? I needed to talk to somebody. There were times in my life or throughout those years that I just couldn't take it anymore. It's like I would tell my wife, I'm ready to I can't take it anymore. I don't want to say the word, but you all know what I was thinking. The pain is so unbearable that I can't take it. The pain medication that I was receiving, even though it was a lot, morphine and Dilaudid and all the names that you can think of, they would not take the pain away. They would just give me a little bit of relief. But again, the support system, trusting in God's strength and not my strength, relying on my wife, on my family, it was what I needed to get through it, right?
Yeah, it's so hard for me, Juan, to relate, to what you've gone through. I have not gone through anything near like what you've gone through. And to see you sit here now and speak to it like you are, it's just amazing for me to witness, because I don't see you as being bitter or I'm speechless. I'm speechless because to think about day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, the pain that you suffered through for years, and then for you to come out on the other side, I mean, that was years of pain, not just days or weeks or months. And I think about pain that I've had that probably doesn't even compare to it. And then it was short-lived in comparison. It just boggles my mind. Adam, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah. So one, can you tell us a little bit about two different things? One, the emotional aftermath, right? You've gone through so much pain, and just how it affected the emotional aftermath, how it affected, say, your family, your relationship with your wife, your kids. And can you also talk to us a bit about how you survived the financial aftermath of this, right? You went years without probably any type of income, and that's just horrific for anybody to go through, and how to do that. And then as a lesson for us, what are some of the things you now recommend, say, if something did happen to others, that could help them survive, one, the emotional aftermath for their family, but two, the financial aftermath when it may be years in recovery?
Okay, the emotional aftermath, that I think is the hardest. It's much harder than the financial, because the financial, I think at some point you'll do something, right? And I'll talk about that. But the emotional is what's most important. I think now that, especially for defenders, but for people that actually think about these things, again, is realizing that it can happen anytime. Just like Adam said, that accident, those two accidents that he witnessed recently, it can happen anytime. And being prepared for that time to say, okay, this thing happened, but I'm not gonna let it win. I'm just gonna keep moving forward, and I'm gonna suck it up, buttercup, and just keep moving forward instead of letting it destroy you. Because obviously it affected me emotionally terribly. My relationship with my wife has always been good, but at some point it's stressful. She had to basically take care of me a lot. Um, Mentally preparing for all those things is very important. How do you prepare for that? I don't really have a good answer for that. But all I know is that having a good support system, again, from somebody else, or from church, especially spiritually, knowing that, hey, his strength, not my strength, but I'm gonna push through, right? That's the only way that we can prepare for an emotional thing like that. Knowing that whatever happens, you're not gonna let the situation win. You're gonna be the winning person at the end, right? Now, financially, it was devastating for us. Even though I had a job and she had a job, excuse me, medical bills add up pretty fast, even though I had insurance. So there's insurance if you get in a gunfight, and there's insurance for that, right? But also health insurance is super important to have. Had I not had insurance, I probably wouldn't have use of this hand, because they probably would have treated me for the emergency, but not for all my surgeries for this hand. So some type of insurance is super important to always have. I don't think that anybody can be prepared for the financial magnitude of something like that unless you're an extremely rich person. Again, because even though insurance will cover a lot of things, there's a lot of medical things that are not covered by insurance. And we sold the house. We had to go move with my parents because I needed so much help in the beginning. So that's the way that we dealt with that at that moment. Being able, again, to say, hey, I need help, recognizing that you need help, and saying, okay, can I come and live with you, whatever the situation is, but having that support system. And to answer the third question from Adam, how do you prepare or how do you defend from something like this? I think is, again, super important for this hour today. The first thing is get lessons from people that know, like Adam and you, from Brent, from people that actually have thought about this and can help you prepare for that aspect of the fight. Right? But in reality, what happened to me, if I had had a second shot, I wouldn't have done anything at that moment because I didn't have the chance to even fight or think about fighting. So as I think about houses, and the first security should be, or it should be layered security. And I took a class with Adam last year at the conference about home security and thinking about that. But I had actually thought about some of those things before because of what happened to me. Lighting is super important, very important. I think that the light of my front porch was off that day when it happened. Having good lighting is important. Having a security door, if you can, it's a very good investment. But having a camera is a no-brainer. With $100, you can get a pretty good camera that will let you know if somebody is by your door. If you have those layers, you minimize the risk by a magnitude. Now, if that one breaks down and you actually have to go to a fight, well, that's when the training from Adam comes into hand, and you better be good with your gun, right? But you shouldn't even be getting to that point unless you have those other ones. In my opinion, even though I like guns and everything, before buying a gun, buy the camera, buy the lighting, buy things that will prepare your house so that you don't have to get there. Same thing when you're not in a house, when you're in a car, right? Do things, be aware so that you don't have to get to that point. Avoidance is more important than having under a second draw to first shot, although I want to do it, but
Yeah, I
So
think, yeah, go ahead, Adam.
So I think that's just so important, right? Why get into the fight in the first place if you can avoid it, right?
Yeah.
Run from the fight, not have the fight, all because of preparation. So, you know, and you can even get the even cheaper than $100, but something that you can access, you can see outside. And if you don't have a window or lighting where you can see out of immediately to where people are at least that camera, take the time and look in that camera and see what's there. So that layered security you talk about is just so important for these type of things. And boy, I'm just so grateful that you're here. Another thing for you, it sounds like your wife had to do a lot of the medical care for yourself. And did it force her to also even work more hours outside of the home? Did you have churches or other people that came to your aid to help you during this time frame?
The first question, she was amazing. She was amazing because she didn't freak out at all in the beginning. She just went into helping mode. So much so that the cops that was, when they finally got there, they were like, why is she not freaking out? Why is she calm? Well, she had been for years a victim advocate with the police department here, and she still does that. So I think that she had seen scenes, right? And she just, instead of freaking out, she helped me. She calmed down and she put pressure. She did everything she could, even though she didn't have medical training or stop the bleed training, something like that. She knew enough to make sure that that's the most important thing, at least lower the blood loss. As far as people helping me, multiple people helped. I had hundreds of people praying, and that was most important. But financially, also people from church definitely helped us. Family members helped. Everybody was helping at that point, however they could. At some point, that help has to stop, right? That they cannot. So, yes, the help will come, and that support system is very important, but also having a good relationship with whoever it is, a wife or a parent, or whatever your situation is. I think it's more important than the financial help from other people, because I don't think that in a situation like this anybody could have maintained me or help financially in that way. But we did have to obviously cut my income, right? I had no income for 5-6 years. So my wife had to, fortunately, she was able to keep the job that she had. But I did have to go to live with my parents for a couple of years. And that was a big financial help, right? We didn't have to pay rent or things like that because we couldn't. We were just so focused on the recovery and the medical bills and appointments and things like that. Also, having somebody for appointments and doctor appointments, it's super key, and not a lot of people can do those things. But in the end, I realized that a lot of people are willing to help me. So if my wife couldn't go with me, if my dad or my mom or my brother or somebody would take me, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. Which brings me to something else, that not only for me, but paying it forward, right? And thinking about the other person that is going through something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be something as extreme as what happened with me. Mm-hmm. You mentioned something about comparing the pain to the pain mm-hmm. that you've had or that anybody else has had. And what I have realized is that pain is so subjective. I might think that my pain is the worst pain, while at the same time, yours might be worse. It's just that we cannot compare and calculate those things. But thinking about that person that is in pain and helping as much as we can is something that not only is not for a defender, but it's just a good human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
Help as much as you can, because that person really needs help. Emotional, sometimes financial. We are not everybody's able to help financially, but emotionally being there, it's a good thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just an amazing story, Juan. We're all in awe of you and what you've gone through and how you've come out the other side. I mean, look at you're smiling. You've got a wonderful way to pay forward to all of us, and we get to learn from that. And so, why do you think at the end of the day that you were given a second chance?
Some people might think that this is super weird, but I think that part of it is this right now, right here, right now, me talking to you, me talking to whoever is watching this and whoever is gonna watch. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Because if one person out of my story and my pain and whatever I've been through, if one of those people actually thinks about what's gonna happen after they die, everything was worth it. I wouldn't change it for anything. And again, if somebody is interested about talking about that, please get in touch with me. She'll have my contact information, because I am super willing to talk about those things. But that's part of it. And so here in this situation, and the many people that have heard this story and that I have made them thought about those issues or security issues in the home, it's really worth it.
Yeah.
It might have sucked for me and my family, but it is worth it. It is definitely worth it. So, yeah.
We have so much gratitude for you, Juan. I know I can speak for everyone here when I say thank you so much for coming on. Adam, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap up?
I guess first of all, just our gratitude to your wife. I mean, it sounds like she's as much a hero in this as you are, and I hope that's expressed to her. But I look forward to seeing you here in a couple of days, my friend. And just thank you for being here.
No, it's my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. And let me just say a couple more things.
Okay.
Because I know everybody is thinking, did they catch the guy? What happened?
Yeah.
Why did you get shot? That's the first thing that a lot of people. So I start by saying I had no enemies. I was doing nothing bad. They never caught the guy. Seems like it was a case of mistaken identity, and that is what's most possible. But in reality, there's no concrete evidence of anybody. So again, didn't get to fight, didn't have the opportunity to fight him, and they never caught the person. So other than that, I just want to thank you for having me here. Thank you, Adam, for everything you guys do, and it's been a pleasure.
Well, it has been our pleasure, Juan. Thank you so much for coming on and for your time and for sharing your heart and your story. It's so appreciated. And I know that there's someone watching that this will help. Absolutely. In more ways than one, I'm sure. So before we wrap up here tonight, I just want to let you know that next week we're going to have another special guest on. His name is Robert Almonte. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, but he is a retired U.S. Marshal and retired law enforcement. He's been on Fox News and ABC News, and he's going to be talking to us next week about cartels in America and what you need to know about that. And that's going to be quite the conversation, very informative and educational. And again, like I said before, I think a really important part about our personal growth and being a defender isn't always the little tidbits I give you for the week, but also being a well-informed citizen, I think is really important as well. So we're going to have him on next week. I hope that you'll join me. And I pray that the internet will be in my favor next week, and that I'll get to do all the fun stuff that I wanted to show you this week. But you know what matters is we got to the heart of what we were trying to get across, and that's the most important thing. So I want to thank you all for your patience and your time tonight. And until next week, take care.